Hollywood shock. Jaime Dornan officially returns to family. Dakota Johnson silent amidst breakup. The Belfast morning air was misty. The wind carried the scent of fresh grass and a hint of salt from the distant sea. Jaime Dornan stopped in front of the house he had left almost a year earlier. The iron gate was still the same, painted black, with small rust marks on the hinges. He took a deep breath and stepped out. In his hand was a small suitcase, nothing but a few clothes, a notebook, and a family photo. Inside, through the glass door, he saw Amelia Warner standing in the kitchen, wearing a grey sweater, her hair tied up. She was pouring milk for her 2 daughters. The picture was so ordinary that it made his heart clench. In the past year, Jaime had gone through the most tumultuous months of his life: accidents, rumors, fatigue, and a long period of living between 2 emotional states. He had believed his heart belonged elsewhere, to another woman, whose eyes had made him lose his way between movies and life. But now, when he saw Amelia return, as gentle as ever, he felt only regret. The door opened. Amelia stood there, her eyes quiet. "You're back." Her voice was hoarse but no longer angry. Jaime nodded, trying to smile. "You promised you would come back." She looked at him, then bent down to open the door wider. "Come in, the kids are waiting." The 2 children ran out, cheering when they saw their father. They hugged him, kissed his cheeks, and chatted about school. Amelia just stood there silently. In her eyes, there was no longer resentment, but something distant, like someone who had cried until there were no more tears left. Across the ocean, Dakota. At the same time, in Los Angeles, Dakota Johnson sat in her apartment overlooking the ocean. Waves rolled in the sunset. She hadn't picked up her phone in days. The news of Jaime's return to Belfast spread through the media like a cold wind. The papers carried a picture of him with Amelia and their 2 children, under the headline, "Jaime Dornan officially reconciles wife after incident." Dakota looked at the picture on the screen, then turned it off. She thought she was used to such things. Hollywood always knew how to blur the line between real and fake. But this was different. She knew every look in that picture, every forced smile, every small space between their hands. She and Jaime had been through long days together, after the accident, after the tears, after the nights they talked in silence. She thought, at least, they would have a chance, but he chose to go back. She didn't blame him. It was just empty. On the table was the new script, but the words danced in a blur before her eyes. Dakota picked up her glass of wine and took a small sip. The bitter taste spread on her tongue, just like the feeling that was slowly filling her chest. The phone rang. It was a text from her friend, Emily. "I saw his message. Are you okay?" Dakota put the phone down. No answer. In her head, only Jaime's last words before he flew away rang. "I owe Amelia and the kids an apology. But I also owe you an honest one." He had never said those honest words. And probably never would. Peaceful days. Belfast, the mild early winter days. Jaime and Amelia took their 2 kids for a walk in the park. The newspapers gradually quieted down. The neighbors smiled and waved at them. From the outside, everyone thought the family was back to being perfect as before. But Amelia understood, there were cracks that never healed completely. Sometimes at night, she saw him sitting alone on the porch, staring into the distance. His eyes were lost in the darkness as if searching for something. Once, she walked up and whispered, "Are you still thinking about her?" Jaime was silent for a long time, then nodded. "I can't pretend not to. But I'm trying to think of it as just a memory." Amelia sighed, turning away. I don't want to be a replacement for a memory, Jaime. I want you to really be here. That sentence kept him awake for many nights. He knew Amelia deserved all the sincerity he had. But his heart, no matter how hard it tried, could not forget the way Dakota looked at him that night, the eyes between love and despair. Empty. Los Angeles, winter. Dakota still hadn't accepted any new movie offers. She spent most of her time at the beach, where she had taken promotional photos with Jaime. The sand was still white, the waves were still blue, only the person had changed. She opened her notebook and wrote a single line, "You came back, and I learned to stand still." As each day passed, she taught herself to forget his laughter, to forget his voice, to forget the way he looked at her through the camera lens. But the cruelest thing about memories is, the more she tried to forget, the deeper they became. One evening, Dakota met her old director again. He asked, "Do you still think about Jaime?" She smiled softly. "We are just colleagues, right?" The director looked at her and said softly, "Sometimes the people who say, 'just colleagues,' are the ones who have never stopped loving." That sentence made her speechless. She walked out, stood in the middle of the crowded street, listened to the sound of cars, people, the sound of wind, and felt her heart was endlessly empty.